Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. Here we are today to talk the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. And in this video, we're going to give it a bit of a review. Capcom was very generous to give me an early copy, and I'm going to be walking through a lot of what this game is. And to that point, well, it is indeed a collection, and it's a collection of many Marvel titles that Capcom worked on, including some of the most legendary fighting games of all time. To that point, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is probably the reason you're looking at this collection. Up until this collection, there has not been a proper way through proper channels to buy Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in a very, very long time due to varying licensing deals. And now, well, hey, you can, and of course with a lot of other Capcom classic versus games as well. And beauty of beauties, you get more than just the games, although don't get me wrong, the games are great too, right? But you get a lot of modern fixins. Like how about modern online play for every single fighting game in this collection? Yes, every single fighter does have rollback netcode. So if you've been looking to play these classics against your friends from across the world, now you can, because rollback netcode makes the games very, very playable online. Okay, great, I can play all these like literally legendary games online, that's fantastic, but how do I get good at the game, right? Like what if I want to learn an F in Infinite? Well, thankfully, they're making it very easy on us because every single fighting game in the collection also comes with a modern and robust training mode. Stuff like hitbox and hurtbox viewers. If you ever played Marvel 2 on, say, like the Dreamcast back in the day, these are some of the fixins you definitely didn't have back then. And every single game in this collection, other than the Punisher, because it's a very different kind of game and we will talk about it, does have training mode baked into it. So no matter what game you want to learn, you just pop into the lab. Easy as selecting your game, selecting your characters, and just kind of going from there. The options are, I guess you would say, standard by the modern preferences. But, you know, back in the day, this wasn't standard at all. You either had something very bare bones or literally nothing, right? So in comparison, this is certainly much more advanced and much better off no matter which game you're looking to learn. So that's really, really cool. And of course, I know, not everyone's an old pro wants to hit the lab right away, right? A lot of people are going to be experiencing these games for the very first time. And don't worry, Capcom thought of you as well, right? So one of the features you can find throughout all the games is easy specials and easy supers. They're already bound to buttons by default, or of course you can change it however you want to be, right? And basically, you don't got to worry about motions, you don't got to worry about whatever. You just hit the button and I'll do the specials and supers all for you. So if you're just looking to sort of like mash your way through, have a bit of fun versus the computer, this is also a very excellent way to do it without you having to know, 20 years of moves and all that from all the legacy of these games. And speaking of legacy, the game does that very well. So if you are interested, in the history, they have stuff like the actual marquee stuff that would be on like the arcade cabinets themselves, all the original art, high res so you can zoom in and see everything very clear. There's also a museum mode which covers all the games, and it gives you super high-res scan versions of all the classic art of the time. So if you're looking for a little bit of a trip down memory lane, you have the art, also a lot of the music as well. Very much a complete package, just like you remember it back in the arcade days. And speaking like just how you remember back in the arcade days, well, the arcade days differ for a lot of people. For me, Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Most of my Marvel 1 was actually played on an emulator back in the day. Sorry, Capcom. It's just how it was. I'm sorry. So for Marvel 1, I don't necessarily remember that pristine look, right, from the arcade cabinet. But thankfully, we got a lot of options to change how things look. We can change our sidebars. We got all sorts of filtering options to make it look just the way you want. If you want a little bit of that, screen grain, some, softer filters, some harsher filters, however you want to make it look like that looks just right for you, you got the option, including just changing how the game itself is presented, right? We have, sort of the original 4:3 aspect ratio with the sidebars, but if you want to just kind of change things up, you absolutely can, including go full widescreen. The game boundaries don't change. It'll just sort of stretch to make everything work. But however you want to do it for your own personal viewing experience, whatever's best for you, you have all the options. So basically for a lot of the games in the collection, you're really spoiled for choice. You got a lot to work with. Now, there is two things I would like to talk about besides everything we just mentioned. I would like to talk about the Punisher and also things that are, like, it's technically a fix, but it might change some of the core aspects of one of the main games, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So I guess we'll talk about that first. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 famously has a lot of infamous glitches, such as the Gambit glitch, where Gambit can just leave the screen forever. Infamous game breaker. And in the collection, it's fixed. Can't do it anymore. Like, I guess it's technically for the best, but, you know, it's just something that's always been known about. It's a very famous thing in the game, and you can't do it anymore. Other glitches like the Juggernaut damage glitch, where when you do his power-up, you can glitch it in a way where the power-up remains forever, and it significantly increases his damage. And in the collection, that glitch is fixed. So it's not a game breaker like, say, the Gambit glitch is, but for the competitive history of the game, this glitch is what made Juggernaut a viable character. And without it being in the game, he's just kind of worse for it. Like, once again, it's good that there are bug fixes. Things like the Gambit glitch, now that you can play online, that only be abused. So it's like, for the best, that's probably gone. But for this one, like, it's one of those glitches that sort of worked its way into the game's competitive lifespan. So it's a bit unfortunate that it's gone. Now, I don't have an exhaustive list for you of what's fixed and what's not, but there is changes from the base game everyone remembers. And finally, I would like to talk the Punisher game. So this is the only non-traditional fighter in the collection, right? Like, it is a old school beat 'em up. So very different than the rest. And for me, as a fighting game guy, this is a dedicated fighting game channel, this was actually my blind spot. I knew of this game, and I played a million of the side-scrolling beat-em-ups over the years. To the point where I would say I'm a pretty big fan, actually, and this game, actually, as a side-scrolling beat-em-up, is really good. Good enemy variety, good weapon variety, lots of things to do. Obviously, these games aren't as in-depth as, like, you know, a traditional fighter, but there's enough depth there for what it is. I really like, if you played enough of these over the years, like, if you can get a gun, it's super special, right? And I guess the rule in this game is, if the enemy has a gun, then Frank will no longer abide by the codes of honor or whatever, and he'll just bust out his own gun with infinite ammo. And that's just a really cool feeling. Like, if you don't know these kind of games, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but for me, who's played a million of these kind of games, just to be able to unload without having to worry about ammo is really cool. But as soon as the enemy gun users are dead, then it immediately goes back to just, you know, regular martial arts. So it's just something I had no expectations of going into the collection, because I'm here, you know, for the fighting game stuff. But then I played it, and actually, it's really fun. It's definitely worth your time to just play around with. So all in all, this is a very complete collection. These are some of the most legendary games of all time, like, full stop. Faithfully ported forward into the modern day, which is great because, as we mentioned earlier in the video, there's not really been a proper way to play a lot of these games in the modern day until now. So I would almost say make sure you get it now before they take it away again. You never know, right? But we got great classic games with modern training modes, the full online experience, and just a lot of little side content for the people who want to enjoy it. It's basically all upside, and I can't recommend it enough. Now, we have a rating system on this channel. It's a Metacritic's favorite, I'm sure, and we rate things by monkeys. And I'm going to have to give this my highest possible honor, which is 5 monkeys out of 5. So it's one for the history books, folks. Like, simply put, even if you're the most casual of fighting game fans, this is a must-own. These are legendary games brought forward for the modern day. And hey, if you know, you know. I don't got to sell this on you. Like, if you know Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you know Marvel 2, right? But if you don't know, you owe it to yourself to try it out. You just might find out that it'll take you for a ride. And my friends, that is the review, and that is the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Marvel vs. Capcom.